South Africa's former president, Jacob Zuma, was in court again on Monday. Now, this time it was to apply for leave to appeal a previous decision that allowed the prosecutor to remain on the case. Zuma has been calling for Billy Downer to be removed from the prosecution, arguing that he is biased. Joining me now to unpack this further is South African journalist and editor Dianne Hawker. Thanks for your time, Dianne. And quickly here, I understand Zuma's lawyers made strong arguments today in court. Was it anything new?
Sorry about that. I just muted myself there momentarily.
No, that's
fine. In terms of the newness of the arguments, I would say that a lot of what was argued in court was quite similar to what we heard previously. The difference was that the Zuma team was trying to convince Judge Piet Koen that if this argument was heard by another judge, there would be a possibility that the decision would be different. The leave to appeal process usually sees applicants going back to the same judge that they argued the first case before, and basically requesting permission to go to a higher court, which was what was happening. So there was a lot of retreading of the same ground, raising some of the same issues where the Zuma team argued that there was a bias from the prosecution because of Billy Downer. Now, Judge Piet Koen will have to decide whether any other court will take a different opinion to what he has actually decided late last year. And if he thinks that a different court would come with a different view, then he can actually grant leave to appeal, and the case could possibly go to the Supreme Court of Appeal.
Well, you know, the state believes the case should go ahead. So what were their arguments?
Well, the state was saying that the Zuma legal team was essentially bringing some sort of delay tactics, in that they were saying that he didn't want to actually face his day in court and was using this particular legal challenge to avoid having that day in court. Now, you know, the court has been dealing with this issue of whether or not Downer should be removed from the case since late last year. And this has actually delayed the start of the trial itself. The trial is now meant to begin in April. But if the court does agree that there should be another hearing, then we could see the trial date pushed back. And for that reason, the prosecution was saying that the court should ignore this particular application and decide that the case should continue. Their view was that there isn't any reason that another court would find differently, and that the legal precedent was clear that the prosecution hasn't done anything wrong in terms of the law that would stop Downer from actually continuing with this case.
And the former president was in court today. How did he seem?
The former president seemed to be in good spirits. You recall that sometime late last year, he was released from prison where he had served a short stint due to medical parole. And we were told that the reason that he was released was because he had a very severe medical condition. But he seemed to be, in good spirits and was walking unaided through court. He sat through the court proceedings throughout the day without much difficulty. So it seems that whatever was ailing him last year seems to have passed by this time.
Well, Dianne, you've been following this case. Help us here. What did the court decide would happen next?
Well, Judge Piet Koen has decided that he needs about 2 weeks to deliberate on this. He has postponed the court to the 16th of February. And on the 16th of February, he will make a decision as to whether the Zuma legal team's argument has been successful or whether he's going with what the prosecution has said. If he does grant leave to appeal, then that will mean the case will go to the Supreme Court of Appeal, as I mentioned earlier. But if he doesn't grant leave to appeal, then the case will be set down to continue in the High Court. However, the Zuma legal team does have the option, even if they are unsuccessful in the High Court, to approach the Supreme Court of Appeal directly if they feel that the High Court decision was incorrect.
Well, Dianne Hawker, thanks for unpacking this for us.
Thank you.